Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Diane Helbig, Elizabeth Ribons, and Glady Baradaran. And I want to ask the question, how can leaders get better at judging true performance rather than using squeaky wheel or who they see as a way to judge performance? Diane, can you kick us off, please?
Sure, thank you. I'd be happy to. I really believe that what leaders should do is engage with their people, really see them in action, talk to them, really have those sort of conversations so that they know for themselves who's doing what and how they're doing it. And if I may share a quick story. When I was first, out of college, went to work for a company, I had a boss, and then she had a boss, and her boss was treating me sort of funny. So I went to him and I said, I get the feeling you're not happy with my performance. And he said, I'm not. And I said, okay, tell me why. He starts telling me all these things, none of which were true. So I was very outspoken then, not like I am now. And I let him have it and told him all the reasons why what he had heard was wrong and what I was actually doing. So he said, now you work for me directly, and I'm going to find out if what you're telling me is true. So we worked together. He got to see me in action. We talked about decisions and ideas and plans and things. I went on site visits with him. So he really got to see for himself what was true, what wasn't true, who I was, what I was doing. And it was an incredible experience for a 23-year-old, one of the best work experiences I've ever had. And really, I wouldn't have had, that wouldn't have happened. And I probably would not be the person I am today if he hadn't invested that time and energy in that connection.
That's great. And also too, Diane, it wouldn't have happened for you if you didn't speak up. The thing is that it's a two-way street. And so I really would want the leader or myself, I'm an inside out type of philosophy person, to have that transparency, have that communication, and have different ways and things that really invite it where it's a safe space and people can really put their ideas. Everyone's idea matters. Every human being in that group matters. I would want them to feel that way, and I would really do my best to put that out there and have that communication. Because it's like you spoke up. If you hadn't spoke up, what would have happened? So it's two ways.
Right. A great point.
Glady, what do you think?
Well, I would actually put it a little bit in a different way, because we just finished, if I may tell you a quick story, we just finished our performance review, a yearly review. And I often have to have this conversation with many managers. At the end of the year, they come to us and we do a calibration. We look at everybody's performance. And they either rate everybody high performing, and the rest of the people just performing. And then when we sit down and talk to them and say, what do you mean by high performance? How did you even find that somebody's really high performing and the rest just performing? When we start to dig in and really look at the objectives, look at what are the conversations they had, what are the events that happened, what they delivered, then we start seeing the differences. We see that they have a hard time managing not performance. So they just kind of cover them as performing. And then the rest of the people, because they're working really well, and everybody's giving everything. So they feel like everybody's that does their job very well, they're just absolutely high performing. So then you have to explain to them that high performance means you do exactly what you have to do and above. There's the extra project that came to your hand and you have to do it, and you jump in and you do it. Or you already, like, if you as a manager disappear tomorrow, can your employee take over right away? That person is your high performer because they have the capability and competencies to do it. They're proving it. Once we have this conversation, then you see how you can manage performance. But I feel like many managers, they just don't want to manage performance. They don't even want to have the conversations.
Do you think that that's because leaders don't feel like they have time to get hands-on? Like, Diane, I feel like you were so blessed to have a leader who was like, oh, let me figure this out, and didn't just blow you off.
Yeah, but he didn't. See, I don't think he looked at it as far as, do I have time or don't I have time to do this? I think he looked at it as, this is my job, right? This is what I am supposed to be doing. And initially, he was going by what my boss and this other woman were telling him instead of actually finding out for himself. And, it ended up being, this whole thing. But really, leaders I don't think they have the luxury of not doing it. And if I can say something about what Glady said, one of the most interesting things for me is so many businesses, so many leaders have those conversations and that feedback once a year during an annual review.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is part of the reason why it is difficult for them to deal with low performers and regular performers. And that so they end up in this quagmire, because I would feel uncomfortable a year later telling someone about the things I think they didn't do well.
Mm.
I think they need to do it in the moment. You can have an annual review so that you can do promotions or whatever, raises, whatever. I think really good leaders are having that communication. And as Elizabeth was saying, it's a safe environment. So there's an expectation that conversation is going to come to them as well as from them. It's a feedback loop sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you might even have something where you set up sort of little pods or little mentor groups, little groups where everyone's able to talk. And then it's almost like, then you switch, it's almost like speed dating, but then you switch, and then people, they switch it up so that, because there's the Enneagram, everyone's talking Enneagrams right now, and it's personality. So the person that was above you, Diane, probably just the way you guys were communicating, it wasn't working. So that kind of thing, learning that and how to navigate that, I think that's 50% of business is just navigating people and their personalities. And everyone wants to do a good job pretty much. They're there, they want to do a good job. They're just different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think one thing I would add is I agree. We have to take the taboo out of talking about performance and have those conversations and say it that, all right, this didn't work. Why? What was the thing that was working? How can we be built on the stuff that were working to go where we want to go? What exactly I want from you? But it's not everybody's blessed with that gift. And not everybody, they're busy as well. So I would come back again. Our people managers, they're hands-on working, they're delivering, they have to manage teams. So they have a lot of stuff, they're wearing many hats. So when there's a uncomfortable conversation and they don't have time, what takes priority? Stuff that they can do.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I'm going to actually write that down. I think we have to take the taboo out of performance conversations. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I think it's because of the way that we do it. It's a difficult, uncomfortable conversation. Of course it is, because when you say to somebody, why did you do that? That's uncomfortable. They instantly get defensive. For me, and this is something I do, like when I do leadership trainings, it's the words that you use. If you say to somebody, help me understand what happened here, walk me through what went on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tremendously different energy than why did this happen or why did you do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier for me to ask the question because it's not as uncomfortable and scary, and I know it's going to be easier for them to answer it. So now we're not having a difficult conversation, we're having a discovery conversation.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah.
So it's learning and training and helping each other to communicate better and staying transparent.
Yeah.
There is so much leadership training out there. And I think the one thing that they don't do really effectively is have people get comfortable with conflict. Because that's the one thing that people will say about conflict across the board. Oh, I'm conflict avoidant. You cannot be a leader and be conflict avoidant. That doesn't work.
No, but you also have to reframe your mindset about why you're having the conversation. You're not having the conversation to nail somebody with something they did wrong. You're having the conversation to help them improve their performance or to problem solve. So it's all perspective and mindset. That's what has to get changed. I agree with you, Robyn. I think people don't necessarily train on that and then wonder why they're not having real-time conversations, and then they're doing year-end reviews where they're going, oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, it's great to foster that sort of, well, like next, like, okay, so that didn't work. Okay, nobody's being blamed. Let's go to the next thing. Let's go to the next thing. So it's like get really comfortable with that agile, the end result is what we're after. And we're a team here. So it's not, you did it wrong kind of thing. And I honestly think that's the type of mindset that really has to take front lead.
We're definitely saying that We have to be involved. If you're going to be a good leader, you have to be involved. You have to have the conversation, even if it's difficult. You can frame it better so it's more of a discovery than it is an accusation. And I think that that's a really great place for us to end it, because that is our 10 minutes. So thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
That was
I've
quick.
enjoyed it immensely, and I look forward to doing it again with each of you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.